It's one of our family traditions to have mincemeat pie for Thanksgiving, and I'm going to show you now how. Well, I'm going to do it in two parts. I'm going to make the filling today, and then tomorrow I'll put it in a pastry and bake it. So I buy this Nonesuch brand mincemeat. You can buy it in a glass jar. It's very expensive if you buy it that way. Buying it in the box, you can usually, and it's during the Thanksgiving and Christmas season, it will usually go on sale for a couple of times, and you can buy it. It's not quite as expensive if you buy it. It's about half the price when you buy it on sale, and I can't remember now how much. I'm thinking it was like on sale, it was like $2.50 for each box, and you need 2 boxes to make a pie. So it's pretty easy. It's a little daunting looking, but it's not really. Mincemeat is one of those things, I think, that is an acquired taste. It comes in this foil pouch here, and it's dried. It's dried fruit, it's dried raisins, dried apples, dried currants. And so what you do is you just in this big block here. And so I usually just crumble it into the saucepan. Now mincemeat, I think, is kind of an acquired taste. I didn't care for it when I was a child, and even when I was a young adult. And if you don't like raisins, you probably won't like mincemeat. Now it doesn't have meat in it, but it used to. It's like a very old traditional English thing, especially for the holidays, English pie. And they used to make it with suet, which is, I think, is the fat off of meat. And so that's why it's named mincemeat. But this doesn't have, I don't think they're made with meat anymore. This just, the ingredients here are raisins, palm oil, brown sugar, dried apples, dextrose, water, contains 2% or less of salt. Beef, well, I lied, it does have meat in it. Cornstarch, dried citrus peel, apple juice concentrate, spices, and distilled vinegar. So there you go. Don't be serving that as a vegan option. But it doesn't taste like beef, just so you know. It tastes like a raisin pie with citrus in it, kind of like a fruitcake. So I'm not really talking this up very well, am I? If you don't care for fruitcake, you don't care for raisins, you may not like this. So if you happen to go someplace where they have it, just take a little bite or piece before you get a big old chunk of it. So I'm just going to crumble the 2 packages in here, and then we add some water and we boil it for just, I'll have to look on the box. I think it's a minute or 2. And then the filling's done. Now last year when I made this, I did it the day before, and then just stored it in the refrigerator. And my husband said it was the best pie ever, so I had done it that way just to free myself up the morning of Thanksgiving by having the filling already made. And so I think that that's the way I'm going to do it from now on. Just store it in a Rubbermaid, and then the next day when you get, usually I make my pies the morning of Thanksgiving, and so you can get your pastry ready, your pie crust ready, and then just pour that in there and put it in the oven and bake it. Okay, so I am going to add 2 1/4 cups water and bring to a boil over high heat and cook and stir 1 minute. Okay, so that's been a minute. It's that easy. So I've taken that off the heat, and I'm just going to let it sit and cool, and all of these dried fruits will plump up and absorb the water and the juice there. So we're just going to let that sit. Once it cools, I'll put it into an airtight container and put it in the refrigerator. It smells so good. It smells like Christmas. So here I am the next day. I have the oven preheating to 425 degrees. I have my 2 crust pastries. I am going with the Marie calendars today. We really like it. I think it's a good product. I'm not a very good pie crust maker, and it would take a lot of time and frustration to get to this end, so we just go with the frozen pie crust from Marie calendars. Some of I think the Pillsbury ones, the pie crusts that come folded, some of them contain lard in them, and if I'm making a pie that my daughter's going to eat, I can't do that. So Marie Callender's doesn't have lard in it, and I don't think the Great Value brand does either. But we tried this and we liked it, so this is what we go for. I can't find it at Walmart though. I have to go to my Bash's store that's close to me to find this, so, which isn't a big deal. I'm there occasionally, not as often as Walmart, but I'm there occasionally. This is the mincemeat that I made yesterday, and then I have some sugar that I'm going to just put on top. You used to be able to buy mincemeat pies frozen, like the Sara Lee brand, and they'd come with a complete pie crust on top, and I'd always sprinkle it with sugar and put it in the oven and bake it. But you'll see I'm going to do this a little differently than a complete crust on top, but we love it. It's going to be a nice treat. Okay, so first of all, I am just going to undo the packaging, and I've had this sitting out on the counter from the freezer for maybe just an hour, I'm not sure. Okay, so I need this crust to be soft. And you'll see why. Just see which one looks the nicest. I hope you try this. I don't think Americans have as much a taste for it as they do in Great Britain. But not everyone in our family likes it, so I always have to make an apple pie or an apple crisp or a cherry pie or a pumpkin pie. My son-in-law doesn't like fruit of any kind, so, but he likes pumpkin pie, so. And then if my son is going to be here, then I have to make apple pie, so. Sometimes for Thanksgiving I've just gone with apple crisp, so everybody likes that. Well, I guess son-in-law doesn't. That's hard to keep everyone happy, isn't it? Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one, usually it comes out easier than this. Always when you're expecting company or filming something that doesn't work, right? Maybe I let it get too warm. There we go. It'll work. It'll work. It usually doesn't do this, so don't be discouraged. Or go ahead and use the Pillsbury pie crust. Those are great. We just have some food allergies that prevent us from using that one. Okay, so you could just put that, this bottom, this shell, you could just put this straight on top and then cut a few vents to let the steam escape. But I'm going to do a crisscross. So going from the middle on out, or they won't fit. Oops. Okay, I think that I've cut these smaller in the past, but this will work. See how we're weaving that through there? This isn't, you know what, I'm going to cheat here and pretend that that went underneath, and that will be just fine. The pie police are not going to come and arrest me. So then I just kind of mash it with the rest of the crust. You can do it with a fork if you'd rather, but I'm just doing it with my hands. I don't care that it looks like this because it's going to taste delicious, and it usually doesn't look this rough or this rustic. It usually looks pretty. But no one's going to care. Okay, so then I'm just going to put a little bit of this sugar, that maybe is more than I should. I'm going to rub it around so it will be a little more even. I actually like the sugar on it, so I don't care that a little more got on than I normally would have put on. So there you have it. I'm going to put this in to bake once my oven comes up to time. And it really doesn't look too bad, even with this bit here. It will be delicious. And you can make a better looking pie crust if you use the Pillsbury. If I was using the Pillsbury, I would just put a solid sheet on top and then cut about 4 or 5 vents, just slits in the top with my knife to vent the steam. You can put cinnamon sugar on these and put them on the pan next to it if you want, but don't leave them in very long or they'll burn. So I'm just going to put, especially since it's open like this, that's the other thing, I'm just going to put it on this so that if it does boil over, this will catch it. In fact, I'll probably put some foil, some aluminum foil on it so I don't have to wash the pan. But the other good thing about these Marie Callender pie crust is that they've got a good sturdy pie plate underneath them. I'm going to leave the foil out because I'll probably check it halfway to see if we need to put some foil over the top to see if it's burning, getting too toasty. So I'm going to put this in now for 30 minutes and time it. How gorgeous is this? I put it back in for 5 more minutes because I had covered the top with foil, and so it wouldn't get too brown, and the top part kind of got wet. But I think it's okay now. So then I covered just the edges with these things. But if you do that, be careful because this filling is very, very hot and it will burn you. But there's our pie. See, and I don't think the bad parts look bad at all. So I'm going to let it cool I'll cut into it later.